All right, so let's take a look. Today we're going to be closing the unit, our review for the week, 45 through 54, right? We're closing the unit. So starting at 45, find the term name in the problem. So we're looking at this as patterns. Either I add or subtract the same thing, or probably could do multiplying or dividing. Let me try addition. Let me see if the addition or subtraction works. For 29 to 26, it seems like I need to subtract 3. And then 26 minus 3 gives me 23. Minus 3 is 20. So my pattern here is I subtract 3 each time. I want you to find the 20th number on the list. We're going to start with the first number, 29. And I have to subtract 3 because my pattern is subtract 3. But I'm going to subtract 3 19 times. It's always one less because I start subtracting 3 starting on the second number. So for the 20th number, I'm only going to subtract 3 19 times. So I have 29 minus 3 times 19. I have to multiply it before I subtract, and I know 3 times 19 is 57. So I have this as 29 minus 57. Now 29 minus 57, my answer is negative 28. It is okay for my answer to be negative because I was subtracting 3. So eventually when I get to the negatives. Now looking at number 46, from negative 1 to negative 2, I will subtract 1, right? Because negative 1 minus 1 is negative 2. But negative 2 minus 1 is not negative 4. So don't think adding or subtracting always works. Sometimes we multiply or divide. For negative 1, right? If I multiply this by 2, negative 1 times 2, I get negative 2. Times 2, I get negative 4. Times 2, and then it seems like I keep on multiplying 2. So now for this case, because multiplication works, I want you to find that 9th number on the list. Let me start with the first number, negative 1. And I'm going to multiply it 2 8 times. But for multiplication, we write it as an exponent. Again, we start multiplying 2 starting on the second number. So if I want to find the 9th number, I got to do it 8 times. I got to do exponent first. So let me find out what's 2 to the 8th. I know 2 to the 8 is 256. So I have negative 1 times 256. My answer will be negative 256. Sometimes my pattern is adding or subtracting. Sometimes it's multiplying. Now here, for question number 47, given two terms in arithmetic sequence. Arithmetic means I'm adding or subtracting. Find the term name in the problem. So I give you the 11th number. I give you the 37th number on my list. I want you to find the 25th number. So just from the get-go, I expect my answer to be somewhere in between 17 and the negative 35. Somewhere in between. So I'm going to use my 11th number and my 37th number to find how much what do I add or what do I subtract? I need to find my pattern. So I'm going to do 17 plus D. Let me call the difference, like how much I add or subtract, 16 times. And this is going to equal to negative 35. All right, 16 times, because from 11 to the 37th number, isn't that 16? From the 11th number to the 37th? Actually, 26, right? Yep. So I have 26 times. Okay, let me solve for D. Again, that's the number that I keep on adding or subtracting. So my 17, let me move it over as a minus 17. So I have that D times 26 is equal to negative 52. Divide both sides by 26, and D is equal to negative 2. All right, my difference is negative 2, so I keep on subtracting 2. So I'm ready to find the 25th number on the list. I'm only going to use my 11th number. So I'm going to say I start at 17th. And I'm going to subtract 2 14 times. Right? Because from the 11th number to the 25th number, that's 14 more numbers. So 17 minus 2, 14 times. Now, I have 17 minus 28. And that gives me negative 11. Now, for geometric sequence, question number 48. For geometric sequence, my repetition, my pattern is multiplying. So I have the second number in the list. I have the third number in the list. So I'm going to go -4 times R. I'm going to call R for the ratio, the number I multiplied one time. Because from the second number to the third number, I have to multiply it only once. R, so -4 times R to the 1 time, it's equal to 8. Let me divide by -4. So I get R to the 1 is equal to -2. Well, isn't R to the 1 just R? So the number I multiplied over and over is -2. Okay, so now I'm ready to find the 9th number. It doesn't matter if you start from the second number in the list or the third number in the list. Both of them come before 9. So just to pick one, I'm going to choose this one. So I'm going to say 8. So I start with 8, and I'm going to multiply it -2 6 times. Right, because from the third number to the 9th number, isn't that 6 times? So I had to find out what's -2 to the 6. And that's 64. Positive 64. So I have 8 times 64, which is 512. Right? Remember, we talk about reasoning, inductive reasoning, actually. Okay. Now, questions 49 through 54 are parallel lines with a transversal. All of this are solved for x. So I see that here I'm dealing with these two angles, which are alternate interior. I know alternate interior are congruent, so those two angles are equal. So I'm going to go 14x plus 2 is equal to -5 plus 15x. I want the x's on the same side. So the 14x, let me move it over as a minus 14x. And this -5, let me move it over as a +5. Letters on one side and those that don't have a letter on the other side. Anything that you move over, you got to switch the sign. So now I have 7. It's equal to 1x. All right, so that's the value of x. Instructions are solved for x, so x equals 7. Question number 40. I'm dealing with what we call alternate exterior. Alternate exterior, I know those angles are congruent. So I'm going to let them equal each other. So I'm going to go 11x plus 2 equals 46. Separate them to the equal sign. My plus 2, let me move it over as a -2. So I get 11x equals 44. Divide both sides by 11. So x is equal to 4. Taking a look at number 51, this is what we call corresponding. Remember, we talked about that a few days ago, corresponding. Corresponding, the angles are congruent. So I have that 135, it's equal to 15 plus 15x. Let me separate into the equal sign. This 15, let me move it over as a -15. So I get 120 is equal to 15x. Divide both sides by 15. So I'm going to get 120 divided by 15, that's 8. X equals 8. Now looking at 52, these two angles is what we call vertical. I know vertical, they're congruent, they're equal to each other. So 60 is equal to x plus 64. Separate them to the equal sign. The plus 64, let me move it over as a minus 64. So I get that negative 4 is equal to x. Okay, so x equals negative 4, not too bad. Question 53, this is what we called adjacent. I know adjacent, I add everything. 9x minus 4 plus 21x plus 4, and these are equal to 180. Adjacent angles are supplementary. When it comes to x, 9 plus 21, that gives me 30x. Now, negative 4 plus 4, that's nothing, that's 0. So 30x is equal to 180. To get the x by itself, let's divide both sides by 30. So I get x is equal to 6. Lastly, number 54, this is what I call same side interior. Now, same side interior, I know I add everything and equals to 180. So 4x plus 9 plus 14x plus 9, it's equal to 180. We separate them through the equal sign. When it comes to letters, I get 18x. When it comes to just numbers, 9 plus 9, I get 18. And all this is equal to 180. All right, this 18, let me move it over as a minus 18. So I get 18x is equal to 162. Let me divide both sides by 18, and I get 9. Okay, pretty simple. Now you guys should be ready for the test. Tomorrow we have a test. We're closing this unit. Make sure you guys know what to do. If you have any questions, let me know.